Good morning, students, and welcome back for chapter number 4 from History, the Mughal Empire. And today we are going to see the part 2 or second part of it. How are you all doing your work at home? Listening to parents as well? Yes? Okay, before going to second part, let's see what we have studied in our previous class. That is the recap of the chapter we taught. First of all, the first question is, who were the Mughals? The Mughals were the descendants of two great lineages. That is, from father's side, they belong to Taimur, and from mother's side, Genghis Khan. But as I told you that the Mughals feel proud in their Taimuride ancestry. Then moving on to the second point, Babur, he founded the Mughal Empire in the year 1526 by defeating the last Lodi ruler, that is Ibrahim Lodi, in the first battle of Panipat in the year 1526. Third point, the Mughal tradition of succession. Succession means after the death of the father, who is going to succeed him. So that is the succession. Mughal tradition of succession, they did not follow the tradition of primogeniture. Primogeniture means the eldest son to succeed his father. But it was not followed in the Mughal Empire. Actually, the father's property is equally divided among his children. Then the Mughal relations with the other kings, especially with the Rajputs. Rajputs, they were in good relations with the Mughals, and some of the Rajputs, they gave their daughters or sisters in marriage to the Mughal kings or the princes, and thereby they maintained the matrimonial relationship. But they were in good touch, and that is why most of the kingdoms were returned back to them. Then there were some rulers among the Rajputs. They were not in good touch with the Mughals, especially the Sisodia Rajputs. Then we talked about Mansabdars. So what is the meaning of Mansab? Mansab is a position or rank. Mansabdar, the one who is holding the position or rank, is called as Mansabdar. And the Mansabdars were, it's a special type of rank holder having some military responsibility. So military responsibilities were given to them, especially good training and good quality of horses, cavalrymen. So we have studied all this in our previous class. Now let's move on to part 2. So continuation, Zabt and Zamindars. Now what is Zabt? Or let us see. Tax on produce by the peasants was the main source of revenue for the Mughals. So what was the source of revenue for the Mughals? Tax on the produce by the peasants. So that means the Mughals also started collecting revenue from the peasants only in the form of cultivation tax. Zamindars were the intermediaries between the peasants and the rulers, to whom we call intermediaries दलाल बोलते हैं हम. ओके, हिंदी में बोलते हैं कि दोनों के बीच में, अगर दो अनजान के बीच में जो मेन इन दोनों को बाइंडिंग करने का जो रोल करता है, दे वेर कॉल्ड एज द इंटरमीडियरीज. स्पेशली हम देखते हैं कि किसी को प्रॉपर्टी लेना है, एट दैट टाइम किसी को देना है और किसी को लेना है. एट दैट टाइम वी डोंट नो where the property is going to say sold out, who is interesting. So we approach that intermediaries, एंड द सेम थिंग इज हैपनिंग एज फार एज द मैरिज इज कंसर्न. मैरिज में क्या है, एक दलाल होता है, ब्रोकर होता है, एंड वो दोनों का रिश्ता बना लेते हैं. वैसे कि किसी को रेंट पे घर चाहिए या प्रॉपर्टी बिकना है, सो एवरीवेयर यू कैन फाइंड द ब्रोकर. सो हियर ऑल्सो द जमींदार्स दे वर्कड एज द इंटरमीडिएटरीज between the peasants and the rulers. Peasants they know very well because they belong to the same village, and the rulers they worked as, or they were holding some position, and that is why they know the rulers. So they worked as the intermediaries between the peasants as well as the rulers. A careful survey of crop yields, prices and the areas of cultivation for 10 years was conducted, and tax in cash was fixed on each crop. Now how these people they fixed the cultivation tax, or you can say the tax. So for that a careful survey of crop yields. क्रॉप यील्ड मतलब जो आप ग्रो करते हो उसका यील्ड, उसका कितना है, उसमें कितना आता है, कितना उसका मतलब प्रोडक्शन होके आया है, दैट इज केयरफुली सर्वेड. सर्वे मतलब जानकारी लेना, सर्वेड. वी हैव ऑल स्टडीड दिस इन लास्ट ईयर इन क्लास 6. सो इन 6th चैप्टर. सो पटवारी का काम होता है, हाँ, रिमेम्बरिंग और नॉट. पटवारी डज ऑल दिस थिंग्स. सो that is in present situation, but the Mughals also followed the same type, or whatever the Mughals followed that we are following now. A careful survey of the crop yield and the prices and the areas of cultivation, how much area is being under cultivation, everything is carefully surveyed, and for 10 years was conducted, and tax in cash was fixed on each crop. So everywhere you have to give tax in the form of cash, in the form of money, not in the form of the goods. Okay. Then the revenue system was called zabt. So that is, what is zabt? The revenue system is called the zabt. And the provinces were divided into revenue circles and with their rates. So various provinces were divided into revenue circles with their rates. So prominent circles, important circles, like that. It will be easy for the survey for the zamindars. Now let's move on to the next one. Akbar's policies, and we know very well that if we are talking about Mughal, that means Akbar is considered as the famous ruler or emperor in the Mughal history. So now we are not going to study the full family history of the Mughals. If you want to see, then right from Babur, then Humayun, then comes Akbar. Then Akbar also, he become the king or the sultan at the very early age of 14. And at that time he was not knowing anything about administration or how to rule the country, this much vast empire in India. And at that time he was properly guided by Bairam Khan. Bairam Khan, he guided Akbar properly. That is all the history. That says history. If you wanted to study this in detail, you can go, you can study, you can see the videos also related to that personally. So okay, that is beyond. I don't know whether these things are given in the textbook or not. So you can also go through, but I don't think so that is in detail it's given. But Humayun he ruled for a very short period of time, and in between comes Sher Shah Suri in history. Okay, that is all a part of Mughal history. So first of all, as I told you, Babur is a founder of Mughal Empire, followed by Humayun. When Humayun was ruling, Sher Shah Suri, he was ruling somewhat in Bihar province and all. He becomes very powerful and he attacks on Humayun. And Humayun is completely defeats, and afterwards Humayun he exiles from the country, बाहर चला जाता है और ऐसे फरार हो जाता है. हार के, and afterwards he again goes to that Central Asia, and after 10 years वो पूरा अपना वापस उनको क्या बल मजबूत होके with the help of that other rulers and all, he comes back and he attacks on Sher Shah. In the meantime, Sher Shah ने अपना ही एक डायनेस्टी शुरू करता है, that is called Sur dynasty or also called as Suri dynasty, and that is called Sher Shah Suri. उसके बाद हुमायूं विद फुल फोर्स के पास साथ वापस आ जाता है एंड ही डिफीट्स शेर शाह, बट अनफॉर्चुनेटली हुमायूं का एक एक्सीडेंटल डेथ होता है. एक्सीडेंट मीन्स हिज ओन लाइब्रेरी का सीढ़ी से वो गिर जाता है एंड हुमायूं डाइज विद इन अ ईयर. Once again, when he starts his second term, within a year he dies, and because of that his accidental death, this Akbar becomes the emperor or the ruler, and he, as you know, that he rules a vast empire followed by so many other rulers, and last one is successful or famous is considered as Aurangzeb. उसके बाद भी है, but Aurangzeb is considered as the last you can say famous Mughal emperor. So now we are not going to study the history of that Mughal empire, but we are going to study now the policies. Now we are quoting Akbar's policies. Why? Because Akbar ruled for a very vast area as well as for long time. That is why we are going to study his policies. Abul Fazl, not Abdul, it is Abul Fazl. In his book Akbarnama, there may be a question, who wrote Akbarnama? Akbarnama was written by Abul Fazl. He discusses the features of Akbar's administration, particularly in his last volume, that is Ain-i-Akbari. So 3 volume का वो एक अकबरनामा होता है. अकबरनामा is a big, or you can say book consisting of 3 volume, volume number 1, volume number 2 and volume number 3. In the 3rd volume, उसके लिए भी उसको अलग नाम रखता है Abul Fazl, that is called as Ain-i-Akbari. There he discusses the administration policies of Akbar. Then he says, or his book Ain-i-Akbari says, empire was divided into provinces called Subas and they were governed by Subadar. So just like the country is divided into state and state is being governed by chief minister, the same thing. It was called as Suba, provinces, they are called as Subas and governed by Subedar. Subadar or Subedar was assisted by officers like Bhakshi, then Sadr, then Faujdars and Kotwal. So they are somewhat, you can say that Hindi words similar to maybe of Urdu words and all. Bakshi, Sadr, Faujdar, and we know very well Faujdar means that military services ke liye, Kotwal. So Diwan was the financial officer, okay, and in each province nobles commanded large armies and were loyal to the rulers. So these nobles as a special group of people, they were mostly under the courtesy, you can say, or under the influence of the Mughal rulers. So nobles, they played a very important role and they were loyal also. What is the meaning of loyal? Becoming sincere, और एक से हमेशा उनको सपोर्ट करना, पीछे से उनके खिलाफ लड़ने के लिए साजिश नहीं करना. दैट इज मीठे मीठे आप चेहरे से आपको सामने सपोर्ट करते हैं और पीछे से आप अनसपोर्ट करते हैं. सो इट वाज नॉट लाइक दैट. दे ऑलवेज रिमेन लॉयल टू द मुगल एम्परर, स्पेशली Akbar. Akbar had a secular outlook. Secular, we know very well that there is no any particular religion. It's told to be strictly followed. Akbar, being belonged to that Islam community, he never insisted that his subjects or people should follow Islam only. No, as I told you, he had so many wives, including one Jodha, and she belongs to that Rajput. And in the movie, we know very well that he built a special temple for Jodha because she is a Hindu follower. For her, a Hindu temple like that. That is a history. It is secular, means not insisting or not putting pressure for anyone to follow that particular religion or the god or goddess. It's your choice. You can worship any god or goddess of your choice. That is the secular outlook, and this term is very popular in civics. Then, discussion on religion with various religious leaders took place in the Ibadat Khana. Ibadat Khana means khana matlab you can say that room. Okay, not khana. So इबादत खाना मतलब एक रूम में यू कैन से जस्ट लाइक कोर्ट है हमारे पास, ऐसे ही वो मुगल के ज़माने में इफ़ देर इज़ एनी क्वेश्चन और आई कैन से नॉट कोर्ट, इट इज़ ए रूम, इट इज़ ए प्लेस and where the discussion on religion, so with various religious leaders took place, like that whom the I can say best person from Hindu religion or Buddhism or Jainism, so like that they were all invited and the healthy discussion was going on on the matter of religion. He proposed the idea of Sul-i-Kul. Very important this word, Sul-i-Kul, which meant universal peace and tolerance. So what is Sul-i-Kul? Means universal peace and tolerance, Shanti, okay, and peace. Jahangir and Shah Jahan followed the same principles, but where उल्टा कहाँ पड़ता है, जब औरंगज़ेब जब रूलर बनता है उन्होंने पूरा अकबर का पॉलिसी को उल्टा बनाता है और पूरा इतना राजपूत उनके खिलाफ चले जाते हैं, इतने समय से दे वेर इन गुड रिलेशन विद द मुगल्स, दे टर्न्ड अगेंस्ट व्हेन औरंगज़ेब बिकम द रूलर और द मुगल एम्परर. The Mughal Empire in the 17th century and after, administrative and military efficiency of the Mughals led to the great economic and commercial prosperity. Yes, administration, marvelous, excellent. Military efficiency, yes, there were no wars or all were in good relations, were living in good harmony with each other. Because of this, the Mughals economic has it led to great economic and commercial prosperity. अभिवृद्धि होना या तेज़ गति से उनका बढ़ जाता है. कमर्शियल मीन्स रिलेटेड टू मनी, इकोनॉमिक प्रॉस्पेरिटी, रिच बन जाते हैं. बट स्टेट ऑफ पॉवर्टी ऑल्सो प्रिवेल्ड विद ह्यूज इकोनॉमिक इनइक्वालिटीज. कमर्शियल प्रॉस्पेरिटी होगा बट the state means not the state, Karnataka state, Bihar state, we are not talking about. The poverty also remained there. Poverty bhi tha. Just like we have Ambani at the same time in India we have a common beggar, so many beggars on roadside begging for a single time meal. So that is called huge inequality. One is having crore, million rupees, or you can say uncounted money, but one is not even having a single one-time meal to eat properly. That is called huge inequality. So the same type of poverty was prevailed in the Mughal Empire also. Some of them were very rich and some of them were very poor. Artisans and peasants. Artisans, who are called as artisans, the one who are good in one particular art. Art doesn't mean that drawing only. It may be the basket making, it may be the weaving, it may be the making the cloth, or I can say any particular work, crafts work. So everything is considered, or it may be pot making, potter. So everything it is considered as artisans. And peasants, they did not benefit but had very little for investment in the fields. With the decline of the Mughal authority, their servants emerged powerful. Now, slowly, as I told you, after the death of Aurangzeb, Aurangzeb dies in the year 1707. I said the Mughal Empire was established in the year 1526 and Aurangzeb dies in the year 1707. So that period was very peak of the Mughal Empire, and after 1707, slowly the Mughal Empire diminishes, it starts diminishing, and that is what it said. With the decline of the Mughal authority, their servants emerged powerful. Those who worked under them, now they emerged powerful. They set up new dynasties and held command over various provinces. Still, they continue to recognize Mughal emperor in Delhi as their master. That means, still means in the we are talking about in the 17th century. So this is all about the chapter. Now this chapter is very interesting. Don't consider it as a boring. So history is never boring unless and until if you show somewhat interest about the great personalities, especially Akbar, Aurangzeb, Shah Jahan. So every ruler, they had their own policies, their own history. So please go through the textbook as well. So whatever the important points given in the chapter, that I have covered, and I am also sending the question answers. So I am sending you on Monday, no? So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. By Thursday, you must complete your question answers too. Okay. So thank you children, thank you for listening me. Okay, and I'm very happy, as I told you, that 4 students from 7th A and 3 from 7th B initially, and later on even one more student, she has given the answer, but I have considered the first one, first comes, first day. So in the coming days there will be more questions for you as well. So okay, wait, let us wait and watch. Thank you.